All right. Hello, everyone. In any given market, stakeholders are faced with uncertainty and risk, a lot of which cannot necessarily be eliminated because a lot of it is simply out of our control. So we make decisions under uncertainty and risk. We also seek for information to resolve or at least mitigate some of these uncertainties and risks. We turn to the news or social media for a sense of public sentiment. We want to understand what is going on, so we ask people that we trust, like our friends and our family. We also create judgments based on the information that is made available to us, not just on the information itself, but also based on its presentation, which is why this matter is important when it comes to evaluating the decision-making process of stakeholders. Of course, in debates, it's very intuitive to say that people process information differently because we have different priorities and we are also subject to our respective biases. So what I want to talk about in this video is a few particular examples of how information asymmetry can be used in debates. To be clear, an information asymmetry is not just a lack of information. It is that one party has more information than another, and when we say that they can exploit this asymmetry, they are able to take advantage of the lack of information of the other party. So there are many reasons this one party may have more information on an economic situation. They may have more resources, so they can pay to acquire this information. They are closer to the operational process, so they know more about what is going on, and other privileges that lead them to attaining news more on their side. In this slide, what I want to explain is that the asymmetry can be exploited because the information is not readily available to particular stakeholders, and it can be very costly for them to acquire this information. An example would be a set of rural agricultural workers operating as part of a cooperative in a far-flung province. They may intend to create marketing contracts as part of a cooperative and do that with larger producers that can sell their goods in urban cities. But since they do not have the social networks or the telecommunication systems to know what the dominant prices are in the markets in these areas, it's quite easy for middlemen and large corporations to exert their influence by taking a substantial amount of the profits from these farmers. So in this simple scenario, an optimal strategy for the farmers would have been to ask for the market prices or for a due compensation that took into account transportation and the risks involved, but they can't know all of that without being able to access these exclusive urban markets. Another simple example would be in the industry of finance and banking. Here, information is not necessarily readily available, but it is also actively withheld from participants. So it's kind of like an insiders and outsiders dilemma, wherein the sense some market players simply know more about the market, and they deliberately refuse the provision of information since it would be detrimental to their profit margins. In some cases, this is illegal, but very difficult to regulate, such as in insider trading, where executives who know more about the big trades that'll happen in the market, they know it much earlier, and they're able to tell their peers to sell their stocks before a particular announcement before the rest of the public knows. But in other cases, it's also completely legal and legitimate for them to do this at many times. Take, for example, if you were borrowing from a bank, you don't necessarily know the underlying asset structure and quality of the loans that you are being given or that you are participating in. So this is one source of leverage for the bank to raise their interest rates and act in a more predatory manner because you as a lender are the one that is desperate and with limited financial mobility. Here, if you had access to the information such as the predatory lending practices of banks or the bundling of loans in a very badly designed and high-risk contract environment, then you may not have interacted with this bank at all, which serves as leverage against the bank because now they have to lower their interest rates so that they could cater to you or so that you don't go to another bank. But because you are now in this bank, you're already giving and taking these loans and paying these interests, it becomes more costly for you to switch to another bank the longer that you stay, and they can continue to exploit this asymmetry on you, and they can continue to lend more and more in a predatory manner as well. So what's the impact, right? What's the point of this? The point we want to make here is that information asymmetries create market failures, which is when players could have made more optimal decisions for themselves if they had known otherwise. In this case, when institutions exploit these information asymmetries, they run with less transparency, they act in a more monopolistic way, and they do not act in the best mutual interest for the consumer. Which is why this is one argument to justify government intervention, be it through supporting structures for information transfer, disclosure agreements and standardized reporting, or through measures to increase competition or otherwise. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.